What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power and Science of Money podcast, and I'm your host, King Freeze. You know what? Have you ever had a friend or someone that you cared about that was in a bad relationship and you try to talk them out of that bad relationship, but they just seem like they just don't want to leave it? Like, they have all the reasons in the world to leave, but they won't. The relationship is strangling them, is killing them, and they just don't want to get out of it. And they come to you for advice, and you give them advice, and they nod their head, yeah, 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 and they seem like they are taking in the information. Then they leave, and then you see them next week with the same mother that was messing them up in the first place. Oh man, that's how I feel when I talk about money and debt, because I talk to people all the time about, the predicament that they're in. I have a friend who will remain nameless, but I have a friend, I have several friends that make a lot of money. They make more than enough money. And the amount of debt that they have is not a lot. But it's like they lack the discipline to get out of that debt relationship. It's like they like being in it. They don't want to get out of it. They like having the credit cards. They like having, the loans, and and they brag about their credit score and how high their credit score is. But to tell the truth, a high credit score just means that you're really playing the debt game the way that it's designed to be played. And I don't have any kind of interest in playing the debt game at all. None whatsoever. Because debt is just, it's bad. I don't care how you spend it. People can say that they're scamming the credit card industry by collecting all these points. Oh, I collect 1,000,000 points, and I have 1,000,000 zillion freaking flyer miles. Man, they've already calculated and baked that in. Did you know? Did you know that frequent flyer miles on credit cards is probably the least redeemed benefit from credit cards? But you'll have somebody say they use it all, or they travel all over the world. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. It's a credit card. You can just have pay for that in cash. The amount of money that you have to spend in order to get these benefits out of these credit cards, you could have just paid cash for it. But it's okay, because some of y'all swear to God, y'all so smart, man. Somehow you're the one that's gonna beat the system. You know what it kind of reminds me of is, have you ever seen those action movies where you're watching an action movie and there's like the hero and there's like 30 or 40 guys attacking him and he's like knocking them out one by one? Side note, why are they attacking him one by one? If I'm 40 to 1, 40 of us need to be jumping on this dude. Anyway, but that point aside, you see everybody running up to the dude one after one by one, get knocked out. He's killing them and whatever. And then, you know what? Sometimes I think, I'm like, if I'm the guy number 40 and I watch the first 39 dudes get knocked up out, why would I think I'm going to be the one that somehow is going to beat this? And that's how I look at people when they swear to God that they're beating the credit card system, or they're beating the debt system, or somehow they're doing something different or magnificent, and they're beating the government. They swear to God, oh man, I got this thing covered. That's how I feel. Like, you think you're going to be the one out of everybody in the world that has not been able to beat debt, you're going to be the one to somehow figure it out. It's ridiculous, man. What comes to mind right now is Grant Cardone, because a lot of people follow Grant Cardone. They post his videos. I see it all the time. But if you really study his method of investing into real estate, he's heavily leveraged. He's all about debt. He said it's good debt. There's no such thing as good debt out there, people. Debt is debt, and it's going to strangle you. And I think he's experiencing that right now, because what he does is he takes loans on these properties and he's highly leveraged. He's highly leveraged. And depending on the terms and conditions of his loans, the bank could straight up and say, hey, we're calling in our debt. Pay up today. He ain't got the money, homeboy. And guess what happens after that? Everything disappears. It's like a magic act. And that's the amazing game that the banks are able to play with you. You know, let me show you another trick that the banks are able to do because they're magicians, man. They're so smart. Check this out. Follow me now, because this is gonna blow your mind, right? When you go into the bank, you say, "Hey, can I get $400,000 to buy this house?" They say, "Shoot, okay. Let's check your credit score. Oh, your credit score is good. How much money you got in the bank? Okay, that's good too. Oh man, yeah. You know what? You sign, you deliver, you sign, sealed, and deliver. We giving you a check. So you take that $400,000, you go buy a house. But the thing is, look, the bank doesn't even have that $400,000 in the bank, and I'm going to explain that to you later, right? So they give you $400,000. You go make a house. You built this house, right? And then let's say you lost your job. Well, we can pretty much relate that to today, the coronavirus, right? Let's say you're affected by the coronavirus. You lose your job. You're unable to pay your mortgage. The bank takes your house. Guess what they just did? They created a real asset out of thin air. That asset did not exist until they gave you this imaginary money. Now, let's go back to that imaginary money. Now, the bank is able to lend out 90% of your money that you deposit. What does that mean? Let's say you go to the bank today. You put in $100 into the bank. The bank can lend up to 90% of that. So they can take 90 of that dollars and lend it out to someone else. And what do? They put it into the bank. And when they put it into the bank can take 90% of that. And then so on and so forth. The money just keeps doubling and tripling and stretching off of one deposit. Now, why is that dangerous? Because that money does not exist anywhere, nowhere on this planet, except in that computer. Now, if you and I did that, we'd be doing time behind bars, because we're lending out money we don't have, right? I'm taking your money and I'm giving it to someone else, and then I'm counting that money twice. Wow, amazing, right? But I know what you're saying. You say, "Oh man, Freeze went out. When I go to my bank account, I deposit $100. I see $100." No, what you're seeing is a bank note reserved, annotating that you do have $100. So yes, you can spend your $100, but you're not really spending your money. You're spending you're just shuffling the ledger is what you're doing. They're amazing magicians, man. They're creating real assets out of everything. They lend you paper money or fiction money that doesn't exist anywhere but in that computer, and then you take that money and you go buy real assets, and then when you default on that loan, they take it from you. They give you a car loan. You don't pay your car loan, they take your car. Real asset. They sell the car to somebody else. You buy a house, you can't pay your house note, they take your house, they take that real asset, they sell it to someone else. Bang, boom, pow. Oh, man. Magicians. Abracadabra. Assets out of nowhere. And you know what? They making real assets appear out of nowhere, and they making your money disappear. Poof, gone. Just like that. Isn't that something that should scare the crap out of you? Really. It really, really should. It really, really should. So understand that your real power is the deployment of your money to play the game at least a little better than you are playing it now. Lower your debt. Invest in something that's going to give you some residual income so that you can buy real assets and own those real assets and be beholden to no one. I own my house. I own my car. I own my companies that I run. I'm beholden to no one. So I can speak how I want. And I want you to be able to speak how you want. Once again, man, this has been the power and science of money. And I love each and every one of y'all. And until next time, peace.